"What brings you here, my children?" Nana Abogia asked, his voice calm but with an edge of urgency. Kwabena wasted no time. "Nana, we've heard the rumors about the sacred fire. Is it true? Is it dying?" The chief looked down at the fire. Before him, the flames flickering in a way that seemed to emphasize his words. "The fire is not just a symbol, my children. It is the heartbeat of this village. It has been burning for as long as our ancestors walked these lands. But yes, there are signs that it is weakening." I could see the concern in the eyes of the elders gathered around the chief. They had seen it too, the fire that had once burned brightly every day now flickered uncertainly, as if struggling to stay alive. But why? "What has happened?" I asked, unable to hold back my questions. Nana Abogia took a deep breath. "There are forces beyond our understanding at play, Kofi. Forces that seek to bring darkness to this land. The fire's strength is waning, and without it, our protection will be gone. We need to rekindle it, but we do not know how." Kwabena looked at me, his face filled with disbelief. "But what can we do? We are just villagers. What if we can't bring it back?" The chief nodded solemnly. "We have one hope. The legend speaks of a chosen one, someone who can reignite the flame with the strength of the ancestors. But it has been many generations since the last person was chosen. We do not know where to find this person." That was when it hit me there was more at stake than I had realized. The fire, the safety of our people, and the very future of Nkwanta depended on finding this person. I turned to Kwabena. "We have to do this. We can't let the village fall into darkness." We spent the next few days searching for any clue that might lead us to the one who could reignite the sacred fire. The elders shared old stories and chants, and every night, we gathered around the fire, praying for a sign. But nothing happened. Then, on the fourth night, when the village was deep in slumber, I was woken by a strange sound. It was soft at first, like the wind rustling through the trees. But as I listened closer, I realized it was a voice calling my name, Kofi. I stood up and looked around, but there was no one there. The voice was unmistakable, though, and it came from the direction of the sacred fire. I rushed to the site, my heart pounding in my chest. When I arrived, I found the fire almost completely extinguished. But there, standing by the dying embers, was an old woman, Mamisi, the village healer. She was the last person I had expected to see. "You've come," she said, her voice ancient and wise. "You are the one chosen." I stared at her in confusion. "Me? But I'm no chosen one. I'm just Kofi." Mom Essie smiled, her eyes filled with knowing. "The fire has been waiting for you, child. The blood of your ancestors runs through you. Only you can reignite it." In that moment, I understood. I closed my eyes and raised my hands to the sky, calling upon the spirits of the land, the ancestors, and the gods. As I did, the wind began to stir, and the air grew warmer. The flames of the sacred fire flickered once more, and with a sudden surge of energy, they burst into life. Brighter than ever before, the village was saved. The danger had passed, and though I would never forget that night, I knew deep down that the fire would always burn because the spirit of Nkwanta would never fade. It was just another morning in the village of Nkwanta, the kind where the sun rose slowly over the hills, casting a golden hue on everything it touched. The birds had already begun their songs, and the air smelled of fresh earth and burning wood. From the morning fires, as I sat by the doorway of my small thatched hut, I watched the village come to life. The sound of women laughing as they gathered water from the well, children running in and out of their homes, and the occasional bleating of goats or cattle, all signified another peaceful day. But on that particular morning, something felt different. You know how you can sometimes feel the weight of the air like something is about to change, even though you can't quite put your finger on it? That's how it felt in Nkwanta that day. I was just finishing my breakfast when my cousin Kwabena arrived at my hut. His face, usually relaxed and full of jokes, was tense. He didn't even greet me properly, which was unusual. Normally, Kwabena would greet me with a loud akwaba and a wide grin, but this time he simply sat down and stared into the distance. "Kwabena, what is it?" I asked, noticing his discomfort. "You look troubled." He didn't answer at first, but after a few moments, he looked me in the eye and said, "There's something wrong, Kofi." I can feel it. The elders have been acting strangely. They've been meeting more often, whispering in their huts. And I heard them speak of the sacred fire. I raised an eyebrow, unsure of what he meant. The sacred fire that hasn't been spoken of in many years, Kwabena nodded, his eyes filled with concern. Yes, the fire that the elders say has been burning for generations. It is said to protect the village from harm. But they're afraid, Kofi. They believe the fire is dying. And if it goes out, something terrible will happen. Now, I knew that the sacred fire was important, but I hadn't paid much attention to it. It was one of those things that you hear about as a child, something told to you in stories, but you don't truly understand until you are older. The fire had been kept burning for as long as anyone could remember, guarded by a single elder chosen to watch over it. It was said that as long as the fire burned, Nkwanta would remain safe from the dangers that lurk beyond the village borders. Are you sure about this? I asked, still trying to process his words. Kwabena stood up abruptly. I'm not sure of anything, Kofi, but I don't like what I've been hearing. You know how the elders are. They don't speak freely. But this is different. We must go see the chief. I followed him without a second thought, knowing that when Kwabena was serious, it was best to listen. We walked quickly toward the chief's hut, passing the market where women were setting up their stalls, greeting each other in the local dialect. The aroma of roasted maize, freshly baked bread, and fish filled the air. The children, in their usual carefree manner, ran past us, chasing after a stray dog dart. But today, there was a palpable sense of unease hanging over the village. The usual chatter seemed quieter, as if everyone was holding their breath, waiting for something to happen. We reached the chief's hut, where a small group of elders sat around a fire. The chief, Nkwanta, looked up as we approached, his face a mixture of worrying and authority. He was an older man, his beard long and white, his skin weathered from years of leadership. He had always been a steady presence in our lives, a source of wisdom and guidance.